Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at another buffed Pokemon from the Season 24 balance update for Go Battle League, and that is Peck Seaking. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Zare Felrose, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now Seaking previously would run a triple legacy moveset of Poison Jab, Icy Wind, and Drill Run, but now it gets access to Peck. Peck has better pacing than Poison Jab, meaning the Seaking is able to get to its charge move just that little bit faster, which is a definite plus. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at Peck Seaking in the Open Grey League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a pretty nice lead, Corviknight into Shadow Empoleon. Sand attacks are eating away at the Empoleon's health bar, and the nice thing about this matchup is Empoleon is never going to be able to Metal Sound down. Even though Hydro Cannon does quite a bit of damage, Corviknight tanks it very comfortably, and now will full send the payback. Opponent calls a bait and pays dearly, they get knocked out, in comes Dragonite. Dragonite swiftly answered with Seaking. Seaking will have to respect the Thunder Punch. Dragonite is going to grab that shield, and Seaking will now get to pick up the knockout, or more likely, grab the shield back from the Dragonite. Dragonite is now debuffed. Seaking doing some pretty nice damage here with Pecks. Seaking opting to no shield. Can it hang on to a Thunder Punch? No, Shadow Dragonite's attack stat is simply too high. Back in comes Corviknight. There's a switch into the Quagsire. Is this going to be a Thunder Punch catch? And it is. What a play. In the back, the opponent has Dragonair, and this is going to be a bit of a tricky game. Dragonair is going to land a Body Slam. That does some pretty significant damage. Quagsire going to try and get to double Aqua Tail. The threat of a Stone Edge is going to grab a shield. Quagsire hangs on 1 HP remaining. It makes one final move. This Aqua Tail is going to connect. Now it's a race to the move. Corviknight is going to get outpaced, and this is going to be very tricky energy management in this endgame. Corviknight now answered with the Dragonite. Corviknight going to overfarm, needing Air Cutter to knock out here. Air Cutter into the Dragonite, picks up the KO. It's a race to the move, and Dragonair gets outpaced. Corviknight gets to its Air Cutter. Air Cutter picks up the KO, and that is a good game. We move to game number 2, leading Corviknight into Dewgong. Now this is a very poor matchup for Corviknight. Corviknight not a big fan of this particular matchup whatsoever. Corviknight, however, is going to actually play to the CMP tie. I honestly don't mind this play from the Corviknight because you get to land some significant damage before a debuff gets applied, and then you can look to pivot out of this matchup if you so desire. And there it is, the pivot into Seaking. Seaking now going to be answered with Charge-a-Bug. Not an amazing matchup for the Seaking to deal with. Seaking will immediately apply a debuff and actually get a shield with that Icy Wind. This charge will probably still knock out. It's a pretty bad move and it's -1, but it will still be enough to KO the Seaking. And now in comes Quagsire. Quagsire not going to be too worried about the debuffed X-Scissors. X-Scissor will connect. Quagsire unfortunately cannot knock out with an Aqua Tail, will need a Stone Edge. Speaking of Stone Edge, in comes the Dewgong. Opponent saves that Charge-a-Bug, and Dewgong will immediately get KO'd by that move. Opponent, they are switch locked, so they are going to be waiting the timer. In comes Gastrodon, and this will be a tricky game to win. Quagsire has a lot of play, but it's losing so much health. In comes the Corviknight. Corviknight really not going to be a fan of this Water Pulse. Corviknight get a no shield, calling it. Oh, it is the Water Pulse. That's going to land. In comes Charge-a-Bug, and the payback is reached. This will knock out unless the opponent puts up the shield. Payback is going to be shielded. In comes the Quagsire. Does Quagsire have enough health to take home this win? I just simply do not know. It's going to be back-to-back X-Scissors from the opponent, forcing both these shields. Quagsire going to throw 3 and the move. Is Aqua Tail going to be enough to KO the Gastrodon? I believe the answer is no. Going to still throw 1 Mud Shot and the move, but Gastrodon should hang on. The question is, can Quagsire survive another Mud Slap? It's going to be very close. Quagsire survives, hanging on 1 HP, taking down the Gastrodon. What a win. We move to the next match, picking up a bit of a tricky lead, Corviknight into Azumarill. This is one of the few matchups that did actually get worse for Corviknight with its new move of Air Cutter, because previously it had Sky Attack and Iron Head, which are just a lot more powerful moves. But if you do get the boost on your first Air Cutter, then this matchup will feel a little bit more comfortable for the Corviknight, as now Air Cutter will be doing more real damage. Corviknight always going to be no shielding. Azumarill is on Hydro Pump. Azumarill bringing out the anti-Bastidon tech. And now in comes Seaking. Seaking going to farm up a ton of energy. Out comes Araquanid. And Peck's hitting for super effective damage. Unfortunately, the ice ground coverage of Seaking is fully walled due to Araquanid's typing. so Seaking will be able to apply a bunch of debuffs, but Araquanid just simply does not care. The Pecks are doing a lot of damage. Seaking always going to be no shielding, as Araquanid will go for the Bug Buzz that lands but is not enough to knock out. Seaking will get as much Peck damage as it possibly can before launching one final move. It's going to be the Drill Run. It lands, unfortunately just missing the knockout, but in comes Corviknight, and Corviknight is able to get that sand attack down. Back in comes Azumarill. Azumarill can survive the Air Cutter, but it will get that Azumarill into farm down range for the Quagsire. In comes Quagsire. Quagsire has to respect the Hydro Pump. They did show it earlier. Opponent full sends the Hydro Pump once again, and in comes Dusclops. Dusclops farming up a ton of energy. Quagsire looking to try and punish a no shield and full send at the Stone Edge. Stone Edge is going to land. That proves to be a wise decision. Dusclops farms up to the Poltergeist. I have actually been Poltergeisted recently, and they have the Poltergeist. No! Oh my goodness. I saw the signs. No one farms up to 6 unless they have Poltergeist, and unfortunately, they farmed up to 6. They had Poltergeist, and that's going to be game over. We move to the next game, Corviknight into Shadow Annihilape. Corviknight will go for the Air Cutter, instantly getting a boost and a shield as well. Opponent will go for the Rage Fist, but Corviknight can survive this and make it to a second Air Cutter. They actually go for an Ice Punch and a switch into Togekiss. You definitely don't want to Ice Punch there as the Annihilape, you just want to boost up. But either way, they're going to be sending in Togekiss, and now Togekiss will be met with Seaking. Seaking putting up a shield as the opponent will go for the Aura Sphere, and Seaking can just cleanly knock out with Icy Wind, as there's just simply no way a half-health Togekiss will ever survive. Togekiss will no shield, they get KO'd. In comes Unoba's Stunfisk. Will Discharge knock out? Discharge is a pretty bad move. Discharge does not knock out. Seaking survives. And now Seaking will get to connect with super effective damage as Icy Wind will land. There's the switch into Quagsire answered with the Annihilape. And the Annihilape, by taking the damage that it took earlier, is already pretty close to Aqua Tail range. These Mud Shots adding up as well. And this is the move that's going to do the most damage. Rage Fist from the Shadow Annihilape. So Quagsire will get the outpace, Aqua Tail will knock out, and unfortunately for the opponent, Stunfisk's Mud Bomb just simply will not KO from this health range. So Quagsire is just winning here. Quagsire gonna shake off that Mud Bomb damage, not worried whatsoever. Opponent realizes it's hopeless, and they will resign the match. We move to the next game, Corviknight into Lickitung. This is a dominant lead win for Corviknight. Back in the day when Skarmory was the Steel Flyer of choice, I believe Lickitung could actually win the ones there, but with Corviknight, Corviknight is consistently able to win all even shield scenarios, as Payback is just an incredibly effective move neutrally. So Payback is going to land, Lickitung is going to spam out these body slams, they're now going to send in a Dusknoir, and Dusknoir immediately put under pressure from the Payback. Payback will be shielded, and now out comes Seaking. Seaking can survive any one move, but Seaking would love to apply a debuff first. So Seaking shields the Shadow Punch, and now will go for the Icy Wind, outpacing by one singular turn. Icy Wind won't knock out the Dusknoir, but Dusknoir puts up a shield. Dusknoir actually undertaps here, and Shadow Punch, Seaking's not going to be too worried about that. Due to the opponent giving a free turn, they're going to have to throw a move, because if they don't, they're going to get hit with a move. They realize it, they're forced to switch in Lickitung, and Lickitung will end up catching that Drill Run. Back in comes the Corviknight. Corviknight would love to Sand Attack down. The opponent throws a Power Whip. Why are we Power Whipping a Corviknight? I do not know. Power Whip is double resisted. It's definitely going to do less. And now Corviknight exits with a ton of energy. In the back is Togekiss. I'm still just lost over Power Whipping. I mean, in neutral scenarios, I believe Power Whip does more, but this is not a neutral scenario. It's double resisted. Back-to-back Air Cutters will land. In comes Quagsire. Quagsire just looking to get to the Aqua Tail, knowing it will lose Charge Attack priority. Opponent is going to connect with that Aura Sphere. That's some pretty significant damage. In comes Dusknoir. Dusknoir, can it survive the Aqua Tail? It's a Shadow Aqua Tail onto Shadow Dusknoir, and there will not be any survivors. Back in comes Togekiss. Shadow Quagsire on cleanup duty, picking up knockouts left and right, and securing that win. We've got a battle of the birds in the next match, Corviknight versus Corviknight. Honestly, pretty happy to see this here. Opponent has other ideas. They save switch into Credilli, and this backline is very, very weak to grass, so this backline isn't a big fan of Credilli. Then again, neither is Corviknight. Corviknight, if I'm not mistaken, does have a losing matchup into Credilli. Payback lands, but has already been debuffed. This being a Bullet Seed Credilli also makes life very uncomfortable. It looks like Corviknight may have CMP tied there, and did. That is a bit of an unfortunate CMP tie, as this is a double debuffed air cutter. Opponent shields. Oh my goodness. They completely miscount, a huge mistake, and now in comes Seaking. Seaking going for the Icy Wind. That's going to land, picking up the knockout, and just like that, the problematic Credilli has been neutralized. Back in comes Corviknight. Corviknight is going to go for the Air Cutter. Air Cutter is not going to do a lot of damage, but they clearly just wanted to land a charge attack onto the Seaking before the Icy Wind debuff got applied. Payback is a lot more efficient, but a debuffed Payback may not have knocked out. Whereas now, at the very least, they landed a full power Air Cutter. Now they're going to go for the -1 Air Cutter, and that will not be enough to pick up the knockout. Seaking honestly holding its own in this matchup. It was already chipped down, but it's able to land another Icy Wind. Can it get to a third? Banking energy and sending in Quagsire. Opponent is throwing double debuffed energy, which means Quag is never going to shield. That's going to be the Payback. That does inflict some solid damage. Unfortunate miscount there. Quag has to shield this in case it's a fast move pressure mon in the back like a K-Whack. It is a ground type, but it's not a Kanto Marowak. The good news is this should be a win. It's a Swampert in the back. Swampert is so far behind on energy. Quagsire is about to just run away with it. One Aqua Tail landed, another one is shielded. Opponent will be able to grab the final shield from the Quagsire, but they're just too far behind. Quagsire is going to farm up the switch into Seaking, and Seaking will get the Icy Wind. Icy Wind is going to land. It's a simultaneous KO. All the opponent has left is an incredibly low health Corviknight. Zaire brings in his own Corviknight. There's just no way out for the opponent. They decide to save everyone time, and they're going to concede the match. We move to the next game. What do you know? It's another Corviknight lead. This trainer immediately switches out as well. They safe switch to Dene, and that's just something you cannot do. The Dene doesn't have the flexibility to be a safe swap. It's able to land a Play Rough, but the Dene is really going to struggle in this matchup. Quagsire will go for the Aqua Tail, pressuring a shield, and Quag can still outpace. Quag gets to another Aqua Tail. Now the opponent has lost almost their entire health bar, and on top of that, they're forced to throw. They can't even farm down. Zaire is going to concede switch advantage because he's probably going to go for a nasty sand attack down. In comes Corviknight. Beautiful farm down. And now the opponent is going to bring out Carbink. Carbink quickly answered with Seaking. Seaking is going to have to put in some work in this game. Seaking putting up the shield as the opponent will go for the Rock Slide. They should switch into Corviknight, and there it is. But what could end up losing the opponent this game is their decision to desync the switch timers. They didn't bring in the Corviknight right away. Corviknight will fire off a move right before second Icy Wind is available, but it's only going to be an Air Cutter. Switch clock should be up soon. Seaking going to debuff yet again. A second Icy Wind is going to land. Switch clock's up, and in comes Corviknight. Corviknight just looking for the knockout with the Payback. Does the opponent put up the shield? No, they do not. They get KO'd, and that potentially opens the door to a win con. Corviknight will now just spam out Air Cutters as everything is resisted, fishing for a potential chance at an attack boost. Air Cutter after Air Cutter. Unfortunately, not going to do a lot of damage to this Carbink, but an attack boost definitely helps. Corviknight no shielding. Opponent goes for the Rock Slide. It does not KO. There's the switch into Seaking. Seaking full sending the Drill Run. Hoping the opponent tries to call an Icy Wind bait. Drill Run is going to be shielded. Can Seaking hang on? These rock throws are adding up. They throw a move. They realize they will not get this farm down due to the pacing of Peck. Drill Run is reached. Is this going to be enough damage? Come on, Seaking. Drill Run into the Carbink. Picks up the KO. And that's going to be a win. Things looked quite scary there after that switch advantage was flipped, but thank goodness the desync of the timers was punished, and that game ends in victory. We move to the next game. It's going to be Corviknight into Unova Stunfisk. This team is unfortunately ABA weak to Stunfisk, so Corviknight's going to have to stay in and try and play it out. At the very least, Corviknight will be able to get some very nice damage here with this Payback. The Payback lands, again, an incredibly efficient attack. There's a catch attempt onto the Quagsire. Catch attempt unsuccessful. Out comes a Blastoise. Is that an extra small Blastoise? I feel like normally when I see Blastoise is taller than that. Let me know down in the comments. Is that an extra small Blastoise, or am I just seeing things? I'm recording this very late at night, so it's definitely possible that I could just be seeing things. Quagsire going to be no shielding the second Hydro Cannon. Will be able to get a full farm down, exiting up so much energy. Opponent brings back in the Stunfisk, and that is honestly the best case scenario. Aqua Tail is going to be shielded by the opponent, and there's so much energy on this Quagsire that I honestly do not mind the decision to shield the Quagsire whatsoever. In comes a Charizard. Oh my, Charizard's hoping to Dragon Breath down, but it's just not gonna happen as there's another Aqua Tail locked and loaded. This Charizard will take massive damage. Aqua Tail nearly picking up the one-hit KO. The snipe with Seaking. Seaking, we know it can survive a Discharge. Discharge, not a great move. Seaking hangs on. It's gonna be a race to the move, and it gets there thanks to this new Peck pacing. Drill Run into Stunfisk, picks up the knockout, and that is a good game. All in all, big thank you to Zaire for sending in this footage. Once I saw the Peck buff, one of the Pokemon that I was really interested in checking out was Seaking. Unfortunately, I looked through my account and every Seaking or Goldeen I had saved was pretty terrible IVs, and considering it's a pretty hefty investment with the 2 elite TMs you have to use for the charge moves, I didn't really feel like my terrible IVs that got to like 1480 something were really worth it. So I'm very happy that Zaire offered to send in this footage. I do think that Peck is a pretty nice upgrade for Seaking. Seaking really appreciates the fact that it's able to get to the Icy Wind and Drill Run spam a little bit faster, because with Poison Jab, I believe it was 7 to the first, and now with Peck, it's only 6 to the first. So the coverage plays a little bit differently because you have a Flying Fast move instead of a Poison Fast move, but you're still hitting Grass types for super effective damage. And on top of that, it also gives you an out against the particularly problematic bug types like the Araquanid, whereas previously, those matchups were pretty terrible because your charge attacks were completely walled. So overall, I do think that Seaking is improved. As I mentioned, I don't think it's going to be a Pokemon that's going to impact the open Great League meta in any kind of way, but as limited metas come and go, I do think Seaking is a Pokemon worth paying attention to, because oftentimes limited metas have a lot lower power levels as many of the more common meta threats are banned, and that can allow Pokemon like Seaking that can't necessarily keep up with the exceedingly high power level of the current open Great League meta to thrive in those particular limited metas. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.